Hello friends, Lee from TableTop Bong. Welcome to the first edition of Vaporizer Drag Races. What are Vaporizer Drag Races? Well, what we're doing is we're simply pitting two vaporizers against one another to see which one is going to produce the biggest amounts of vapor under the exact same conditions. And how we're doing that is by tying these two tabletop bongs, including the exact same percolators, both including a 5-arm freestyle perk, to give us the exact same action inside the bongs, and I've tied them together in series so that when you draw on the draw hose, both bongs are being activated. So all we have to do is plug in a different vaporizer into each bong, and we can see exactly under the same circumstances which vaporizer is going to produce larger amounts of vapor. So I preheated both of these vaporizers and loaded them, and we're going to run 3 heats with these vaporizers. We're going to go 185 to start with, Celsius, 200 degrees Celsius, and then we'll finish it off at 210 degrees Celsius, so we can see at different temperatures which one reigns supreme. So let's go ahead and plug both of these in. They're already preheated and preloaded, so we're just simply connecting with a small piece of whip hose so that we're using these vaporizers as similarly as possible to if you're using it based on manufacturer specification and just being handheld. So let's go ahead and let's take a rip on this and see which one of these is producing more vapor at 185 degrees. That's some vapor. So my Planet of the Vapes one just turned off because of the timer, so I'm just going to turn it back on. And let's go ahead and we'll rip this again now that both vaporizers are completely heated up and we've pulled some heat through both loads. So this should be a really great comparison of the type of vapor you're going to get from either one of these devices under the exact same circumstances. So now I'm going to really rip on this, and we'll officially call this heat number 1. Again, neither one of these devices is going to throw an incredible amount of vapor at this temperature. And if you noticed on that inhale, I had to adjust the Planet of the Vapes one because I was blocking a portion of the air intake at the bottom. The air flows through the bottom of the Planet of the Vapes one, and I wasn't taking that into account. So as soon as I made the adjustment, it started to throw a little more vapor. So I'm going to rip this one more time at 185. We'll call it a bit of a do-over because I did have the Planet of the Vapes one air intake blocked a little bit. So we'll rip this one more time, and then we'll change both these bowls and the temperatures, and we'll run it again. Here we go. And so you could see there, it appeared to me as though the Planet of the Vapes 1 was throwing a little bit thicker vapor at 185 degrees. So I would say heat 1 is going to go to Planet of the Vapes 1. So let me just quickly reload and we'll do another heat. Both of these vaporizers, super easy to load, unload, reload. No real time required, which is nice. So if you're in the middle of a session, you're not spending a lot of time playing around. Trying to get a nice even pack on this so that I know I'm packing both vaporizers with a very similar consistency to the pack, so that as I pull the air through, everything is even. I'm probably going to get a little messier as I go. This is a pretty intense comparison, as you can imagine, ripping bowls like this hard. So please be kind. Just go ahead and load this up and we'll jump in for another heat. Gonna turn this vaporizer up to 200 like we had discussed. And I'll also turn this one up at the same time to 200. Just going to reset the timer on the Planet of the Vapes 1 so that it doesn't go off on us while we're in the middle of a bowl. Get that up to 200 degrees. And we'll just give that a second to preheat. So that's a pretty interesting experiment when we watch the difference at 185 degrees between the two vaporizers. Now, this is, of course, not accounting for flavor or smoothness. This is just simply and purely vapor production. That's all we're looking at. This is not a judgment of any other element. This is just one element of what a vaporizer can do. So now they're both preheated. Let's go ahead and we'll go in this first one. I'm not going to take a huge draw. We'll just get both bowls heated up again. And then the second rip, we'll do heat 2. Planet of the Vapes 1 is ready to go at this temperature. You can see the amount of vapor that's thrown off. Okay, so now 200 degrees, both bowls are heated. I'm going to take a really good hard rip on this and we'll see how these two vaporizers compare at 200 degrees under the exact same circumstances. Oh, ooh. So as you could tell, that time I was taking a long, slow draw and letting these vaporizers both work under a slower condition. Hang on, one drink of water. Okay, so now before we change the temperature, obviously I can rip this one more time. So that was a slow, long draw. This time I'm going to give it a bit of a shorter, harder, faster draw, and we'll see what happens, see who keeps up. Solid vapor production from both of those. Wow. Okay, let's reload, reset the temperature, and we'll go in for the third and final heat and see what happens when we crank these up to 210 and we really rip on them. I'm glad there's not another temperature after that. I don't know how many more of these I could do. Quick load and unload. Get a nice solid pack without being too firm. I want really good airflow moving through the Solo too. And we've got that up to 210 degrees. So let's go ahead and reload the Planet of the Vapes one. The vapor production on both of these units is pretty phenomenal, as you can see. When you really rip on it, both of these can produce some really thick, dense vapor. This next temperature is really going to reveal a lot about how this works at a higher temperature and what you can really look to get out of these devices when it's beyond the social time and you really want to rip on your vaporizer. And that's the nice thing. It's nice to know what these things can produce at these different temperature ranges, because we all like to enjoy our vaporizer a little bit differently. Some people prefer lower temperatures. Some people like to really rip on the high temperatures. And it's nice to know what these vaporizers are capable of and to see them in a complete direct head-to-head competition. So now I have both of these devices set at 210 degrees Celsius. And I'm just going to give the weed a second in there to heat up so that we're getting the most out of this. And I'll do what I did the last time. I'll take a small rip just to heat it up. Then I'll take a long, slow rip and we'll see how they perform. And then I'll take a short, hard rip and see what happens. And we'll see out of these two, which one reigns supreme. So again, this is just the heated up. Oh, these are both raring to go at this temperature. As you can see, the amount of vapor production that came off of that small little pull. Okay, let's get in and we'll do a long, slow draw. Now that's some vapor production. Okay, sip of water and one more rip. Okay, so this time, oh, maybe I'll turn the Solo back on and give it a fighting chance. I almost forget about the Solo's timer because it's timed so much longer than everything else when you use the Planet of the Vapes one. It's 2 or 3 minutes, I can't remember exactly. Or when you use the Mighty, it's only a few minutes, so you're always playing with it. The Solo, I think it's maybe around 5 minutes. I can't remember what it is, but let's get that set. Let that come back to full temperature, and we'll go ahead and give this one more good pull, and we'll see in the end which vaporizer reigns supreme. Ooh, that's fun. Solo to Planet of the Vapes one. Wow. They both throw some crazy, crazy vapor. From my perspective, it was very hard to tell which one was producing more vapor. It looked to me like the Planet of the Vapes one, excuse me, potentially was producing a bit higher quality, or pardon me, higher quantity of vapor. But it's really hard to tell when you're sitting here and you're the one doing it. So I'm going to allow YouTube to be the judge. YouTube. How about YouTube? See, this is the effects of doing this. Bongs in tandem. Wow. Ripping two vapes at the same time. Vaporizer drag races. This is fun. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe so that you know when the next episode of Vaporizer Drag Races is available. Take care.